I need to read them.
You just need to call the meeting to order. And we don't have any public comments, so you can ask Carrie.
Okay, at this time, I want to go ahead and call this meeting to order. And let this record reflect that this Facilities and Safety Committee meeting has been posted, as well as the other Transforming and Teaching and our Finance and Planning, as required by the Texas Open Meetings Act. So the first thing is public comments, and I understand we do not have any public comments. No public comments today. And so we'll move right on into our Facilities and Safety Committee meeting. Mr. Hymas is not available today. He had a business matter, so I will chair his committee. And the first thing is going to be a school safety update. Danny Castillo.
Good afternoon, Mr. Board President, board members, Interim Superintendent Corton, senior team, and audience. I have two brief updates for you. First one was on this past Thursday, November 21st, we held our safety subcommittee meeting here at Central Administration. The one agenda item that we did cover during this meeting was having to do with the TEA intruder detection audit process. An overview was covered dealing with the purpose, the methodology, and the scope of the audits. We also reviewed two of the most recent audits that were conducted here in our district. And with that, I just did want to make sure I notified the board that the specific recent audit findings will be presented at in a closed session at our next board meeting, which will be December 10th. The second item I wanted to update you as a board on was on the TEA Behavioral Threat Assessment Pilot Program. In essence, what this is, it's a standardization of the statewide behavioral threat assessment process. Up until this point, every district has been left to develop their own approach. What this will do, in essence, is centralize the whole system so it's standardized across the whole state. So in this pilot program, our district, we put in an application and we were selected as one of 15 districts to participate in the rollout assessment. The assessment will begin on January 20th of 2025. And the intention of this rollout assessment process is to gather the insights, feedback that will help shape improvements, optimize the program before the actual statewide rollout. The statewide rollout, which will be mandatory, will begin with the beginning of the 2025-2026 school year. So with that, that was my two quick and brief updates.
Thank you very much. Any questions from any board members? All right. Okay, so our next item on the agenda is the presentation update of the ESSER funding projects. Mr. Tapia?
Yes, Mr. Powers, member of the committee, Dr. Corton. On the ESSER funded projects, we have two. Over at the Harlingen High School, we have the digital controls wiring phase 2. They were about 98% complete. Architects and the engineers done a punch list item. They're working on finalizing and tweaking all the calibration and the setting of the points and starting to hook up everything to get it under control from the computers over at our office. And same thing over at Harlingen South, the fine arts, the 6 units that we installed. Same thing, they just ran the wires and they're connecting the controls. They're doing punch lists and then they'll do commissioning with the engineer and so forth. This is the last time that I want to present these two, because after this it's just paperwork and bringing you the final payment at a future board meeting. And so in essence, this will be the end of ESSER project presentations. We won't see them on the agenda anymore. But I would like to probably sometime in January or February bring an item giving you everything that we completed under ESSER, the total amount of about $20 million, what was done, the overall, and that was all federal funds. So I'll give an overview at a future meeting. Grant and federally funded projects. The must-funded project is the amphitheater at Lee Means. We're about 37% complete, and I'll show you some pictures right now of that. And then the other one, grant money from TA for safety, the emergency responders communication enhancement systems. We're doing a lot of wiring at all the schools. They're going to get the bidirectional amplifier equipment installed. We're doing all the wiring. They're starting to install antennas. And then we're doing them in batches. We're getting them submitted through the city and the fire department to get them approved. So we're overall about 30% complete on that one. This is the Lee Means amphitheater that was funded by Elon Musk monies. We got the stage poured, we got steel going up, block walls, we have a restroom building, and it's going along pretty well. There's a restroom building on the bottom, and you can see the stage on the top left corner. And on the right side, it was a glass area, and now that's going to be the double door that accesses to the school, but the chiller lines ran right through it, so you can see we rerouted the chiller lines all the way around the openings, and they'll be encased. Another non-TRE, non-local money is the child nutrition kitchen upgrades that we're doing, federally funded as well. At two past board meetings, we did already award in September $363,000 for new cafeteria tables, art decor, and painting. This is approved through TDA and Texas Department of Agriculture. They allow us to use some of our fund balance monies to do some upgrades. And that was for Austin, Lee Means, and Stewart Place. And then the other yellow one, the $57,000, we didn't do the art decor and painting as part of that first batch because it wasn't quite ready. So when you combine those two, that's something that we've already approved those in September and November. The board approved them, so I just wanted to show you what was included in those packages that the board already approved. These are renderings. I know they look real, but these are renderings over at Stewart Place. Once the painting's done and the decor and all of the motto that's allowed by the Texas Department of Agriculture to decorate kitchens, you have to use child nutrition related slogans and sayings and things like that. Just some renderings that the contractor bid on. And over at Austin, that'll be the furniture and the painting. And this is not, I thought this was real. This is a rendering. Furniture won't be in for about another 2 months. So after the holidays, hopefully they'll start coming in. And that's the rendering that was included in that bid. And Lee Means Elementary, this is the way it'll look when it's finished. Again, painting, decor, new tables, and all funded through federal funds. Any questions on these projects? And that's just the elevation renderings of Lee Means. And then the actual TRE projects, the doors and windows that we presented last time, there hasn't been much movement because we're waiting for the glass to come in. Some of it's coming in this week, and then some of it's coming the following week. So during the Christmas break, hopefully all this work is done, the remaining glass work at several schools. The South Gym locker upgrades, those have been ordered. Those will be in during December as well. The new marquees, I'll show you some pictures. We started work at Bowie and Lamar. And then chiller line replacement at the annex building is underway. We're about 30% complete. These are the marquees. We poured the foundations with the post, the steel column at Lamar. And at Bowie, they were already drilling for the foundation. They're supposed to pour that here in the next few days. And then chiller line replacement, the bottom green and blue is the second floor. They've already finished the green areas, and then they're working on the blue area. Should be done here in a couple of weeks. And then we'll move to the first floor. And just a picture of what the old chiller lines look on the top left picture. And on the bottom, you can see the new clean lines, and then they'll insulate them once they get water in them. They'll start getting cold and sweating, so that's when they need the insulation. At Bonham Elementary, we're doing the bidding of the new asphalt area. Actually, we had bids today at 2 o'clock. When we had the pre-bid conference last week, we had 4 contractors that showed up interested, and they toured the site and everything, but unfortunately, when bid time came around, we only had 1 bidder. It is a good bid, though. We're going to rank it tomorrow, and if everything goes good, we'll put it on the agenda next Tuesday for board award. And that's the area where we're going to do the double asphalt playground area at Bonham. And then we just have 1 change order. Basically, this is just closing out the project, getting credit back. We had already gotten 1 credit of $3,900 on a previous change order. Added $227,000. There's $5,049 unused money, so we'll close that at $222,109. We don't have the final payment yet, but we'll bring it after the holidays because architect wants to hold it up until they do some punch list work. Any questions on the projects?
Any questions? No, sir?
Now we'll move on to the financial report for the TRE. If you look at columns 2, 3, and 4, those are the total budgeted amounts from the beginning till now. Total about $109.8 million. And then on the right side, the green columns are the actual expenditures and the committed for a total of $105,906. So our balance right now is $3.9 million on TRE funds. Any questions?
Nope, no questions. All right, well, that's great. That concludes your reports, right?
That's it.
All right, well, thank you very much. It looks like things are in great shape, and y'all are, like always, doing a great job. And it looks like all these projects are within budget, and that's really good news. I hope you have a little left over. So we'll be looking for those final payments that come down the pike. Thank you very much, Oscar.
Thank you, Mr. Parker.
At this time, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the Facilities and Safety meeting, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Pettis, who will open the Transforming Teaching and Learning Committee meeting.
Thank you so much. I'll call this meeting to order. We'll just jump right into it. I guess I'll ask Ms. Judy Baker and Osiel Ochoa to come forward. We're going to our first topic is a recipe for success, Transition Academy students and food services collaboration. Thank you.
All right, good evening, Board President, board members, Interim Superintendent Dr. Cortan, senior team members, and our audience. I want to say good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Before I get started, we have a recipe for success, and we'll get to that shortly. But I wanted to say thank you to our students here that are joining us this afternoon and some of our cafeteria staff. All right, let's give a round of applause. We also have members from our Harlingen South cafeteria here with us as well. And we also have Miss Denise Young. Miss Judy Baker couldn't make it today, so we want to wish her well, and hopefully she recovers. But we have Miss Denise Young from our child nutrition program here with us as well. And then we have coordinators from our special education department as well, Miss Melissa Villanueva and Felicia Garcia. So, nice to meet you. And Miss Mayra Gutierrez, our Transition Academy teacher. So, all right, so let's get started. A recipe for success, Transition Academy students and food services collaboration. So that was a collaboration between our two departments. Whenever we look at bringing a new program or whenever we have a goal that we want to reach, we always want to look at our strategic plan and how that, what's our goal and our strategic, what is it going to hit, what goal? So right now we look at our goal 2, which is exactly what we're looking at, well-rounded graduates. We want to develop the whole child. We want to create a coherent sequence of experiences aligned to the development of reasonable, responsible contributors to the community that will span across academics, athletics, the arts, and our kitchens. So I did want to say thank you to a few of our members that are here with us, but before we get started with this recipe, there's a few key ingredients that we're going to have in this recipe. So that's going to have our Transition Academy students that are here with us, our special education department, our child nutrition department, our transportation department, which is huge in ensuring that we get to all our locations and always assisting us whenever we need anything as well. We have our AgriLife Extension, our teachers and staff, and our district leadership that continues to support us in our program as we go on this journey with our students in our child nutrition department. So step one, we're going to go ahead and this is where we call our preheat, right? We preheat the oven on step 1, right? This is where our thought process goes. So about 4 or 5 years ago, Ms. Felicia Garcia and Judy Baker had a conversation exactly where they wanted to go. And they talked about it. They really wanted to get it going, but we had a little delay there in 2019. So that delay did cause a little delay, but in 2024, we were proud to say that the partnership between our departments, Child Nutrition and our Transition Academy and our Special Ed department, it officially began in 2024, and we really got that thought and we started putting it into action. Step 2, this is where we start mixing the ingredients, right? We start getting all our ingredients for our recipe going. So we started in collaboration with AgriLife Extension. We secured food handlers licenses for our students. So not only did we secure those food handler licenses for our students, but we also ensured that our teachers, our paraprofessionals, our job coaches were also licensed through our food handlers so that they're all aware of the procedures and routines that happen in our kitchens. So our students were also interviewed in the process. So our students went through an interview process with our child nutrition department, and this interview also was a full interview that our full-time child nutrition staff members go through as well. So with that interview, they also participated in a civil rights training that's provided to all our full-time staff, child nutrition staff members as well. They participated in orientation, which is also a full orientation in our kitchens, and as far as an orientation to one of our full staff members in our child nutrition program, so they also participated in a full employee training. And once we got all our trainings and our licenses together, we had our uniforms, our shoes, and our ID badges were distributed to our staff, to our students. And as you can see right there, they're getting ready to enter our kitchens. And as you can see here today, they look very nice. So step 3, this is where we started placing things in the oven, right? And place at 350 for, I didn't put how many minutes, but, this is where we actually started getting into our kitchens. We started touring our kitchens at Harlingen High School and Harlingen South. The students started to tour the kitchens, the coolers, the a la carte stations, our cafes, really started familiarizing themselves with our kitchen areas. They had hands-on training, identifying equipment such as spoons, pans, packaging tools, etc. I even learned a few things also there. I learned what a size 2 pan was, a size 4, and I was learning in the process as well in our kitchens. Our students also participated in measurements and food quality control training, where they really had to get trained on measurements as they're packaging these items in our kitchens, and really ensuring that the quality of food that is going out to our students is also up to par as well. So they had training on food quality control as well. And then we had training on portion size. We had to ensure that our portion size were correct as well. As far as our calorie intake and things like that, we wanted to make sure that our measurements, they were trained in measurement and portion sizes. And then HACCP guidelines, and Ms. Baker can talk to you a little bit more about that, but that's our hazard analysis, climate control protocol. I'm learning too. I learned a lot during this process. Ms. Young can probably speak a little bit to that. Procedure, sorry about that, yes. And then we also had workflow training within our kitchen staff. So this is where our students had the opportunity to really train with the kitchen staff one-on-one in our kitchens, get familiarized with the procedures, the routines that are happening in the kitchens, safety. And with that workflow training, we have Ms. Lopez here, one of our cafeteria managers. She said, Mr. Ochoa, with that workflow training with our kitchen staff, our students became part of our family and part of our staff, and they're one of us. So they really made themselves part of the team. They really became part of the team. And when they're training on that workflow, they make it's seamlessly, as you'll see here shortly. Step 4 are servings, our serving size. So technically, right now we serve 13 students. We have 13 students that are fully trained and licensed in our food handler's license. Our plans and here in the future with our child nutrition department are to expand that to include more students in our program. Our vision in meeting with Ms. Baker, the vision for the partnership with special education and our child nutrition is to, she's going to begin we will begin a hydroponics greens tower at our Transition Academy. So this will be the first one here in our district. And this will be an opportunity for our Transition Academy students to grow their own greens. And then our goal for that is to have those greens in our kitchens as well for our students. And then our goal is mainly to empower our students. We want to empower them and possibly hire them as full-time kitchen staff. But more importantly, we really want to empower our students far beyond Harlingen CISD. Of course, we would love to have them here in Harlingen, but whatever they decide to do, and as far as the food industry, they are licensed and fully trained, and they have the tools to now to follow those dreams if they want to proceed into something else in the food industry. So we really want to empower our students, not just currently, but for many years to come, so that they have all the tools and knowledge and training they have to utilize for themselves in the future. And then we have a short video here that we're going to show, so enjoy. We're here with our Transition Academy students, where we have partnered up with our Child Nutrition Department. So in that partnership, we've developed the relationships with our students. We've given them the trainings that they need so that they are part of our child nutrition staff. And all that is so that they have the employability skills that will help them in the future. And we're looking for great things to happen here and continue to happen here at Harlingen CISD.
It's been extremely fun with these students. We did do interviews for each individual student. We prepped them with questions, kind of giving them life skills to take with them. We went through an orientation. We went through civil rights training. They've gotten their food handlers, provided uniforms for them. These students have gone through the whole process, like one of our employees, right, what they'd go through. And this can actually help them benefit to get a career with us, a job in the future here, or anywhere else in the food service industry that they can apply these skills.
I enjoy the facility here. Thanks to HCISD for letting me be a partner in the cafeteria. I love working with people.
I feel great working here with everyone else here, but Maria, Masana, James, and John right now. But they're feeling grades, fruits, and everything else.
They're doing great, doing the light routines like the fruit, cleaning tables. They're already familiar faces that we know when they come through the line. We're already used to having them here every day, but now that they're here as a worker, it's exciting to have them here and interact with them and show them what we do over here on the back.
I'm thrilled to witness our students reaching goals and embracing these awesome opportunities. Our students are doing such a fantastic job here in the cafeterias, and they're learning so many skills, and I'm very proud of them.
Our hope at HCISD is to make sure that as we look at commitment to excellence and a heart for people, that we're going to better position our students to be able to do wonderful things beyond their time here at HCISD.
All right. And thank you all for your team as well for providing that video. Awesome. So with that, we also want to say a huge thank you. I hope you enjoyed that video. But we want to say a huge thank you to everybody that there's many more people that help made this a reality. Everyone involved is making this program a reality, and we really want to say thank you for setting the stage as we continue to grow this program and continue for it to be successful. So thank you all very much.
I know,
Great job.
OCL, I know you're going to have a few questions.
I'm sorry about that.
Well, I just think this is terrific, and I want to congratulate you and the nutrition department. What a fantastic program. So will these kids be integrated into our cafeterias and working with different staffs at different campuses?
Yes, so our goal is to eventually have more campuses than just our comprehensive high schools. But we want to reach more campuses and allow our students to be at multiple settings so they familiarize themselves with not only certain kitchens, but multiple kitchens. And in the future, we really want them to be a part of our team when they are done with our Transition Academy. We want them to be part of our team and be part of our full-time employees. So getting them prepared now for their future is one of our goals, and I believe we're reaching it, and we're continuing to reach it. So we want this to expand and grow to multiple campuses. Yes.
What about some of our community partners? Is there down the road? Is there opportunity there? Like Chick-fil-A or some of the other people?
So currently, right now, we do work with 16, I want to say, correct, Ms. Maida? We have about 16 community partnerships around Harlingen that allow our students to help out with and to go assist and to work and to gain those employability skills. So currently, we have 16 of our community partners that assist us with our Transition Academy.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Great job. We'll see. Does anyone, any other questions? Dr. Connell?
Oh, no, I thought you were going to ask a question.
No, go ahead.
No, I just want to say congratulations to the students who went through. That sounds like a big task, right? To have to go through all the interview process, and who helped you all get prepared?
Who helped you?
Yeah, I did. We got this job.
Well, I'm proud of you. I think those are skills that not a lot of students get to go through, right? To prepare them for the real world, right? To be able to know how to interview for a job. and then to go through all of that training and that orientation. So just want to commend you all and say congratulations for doing that, and thank you to all of the participants who played a part in making sure that this happened. And I'm looking forward to seeing this expand to the other kitchens, and maybe when some of us go help in the kitchens, we might get to join you. So I'm very excited about this. Thank you for bringing this to us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Congratulations. First of all, the collaboration. I mean, to bring different groups together, always, when this happens, it's amazing, you know, and this is what HCISD is about. When we think about all the things that are happening, you know, just, it's amazing to see this type of success with these wonderful students. And so now I want to ask the students a question. Did you guys have fun?
Yes, sir.
Did you guys learn a lot?
Yes, sir.
All right. It's good to see them interact. That's what we want. We want that interaction, and we want to be able to just see the beautiful smiles that they all have and the beautiful energy that they all have. And it's great. It's just wonderful to see this happening. So thank you, Cielo.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yep, yes.
Real quick, I mean, fantastic presentation. Are those food handlers' licenses transferable? Are those the real deal?
Yes, they are they are fully licensed. Yes, sir.
That's fantastic. Congratulations to all of you. It was just a real joy to watch you all smiling and enjoying the work. You know, more hands make the work easier, so we can take all the help we can get. But y'all looked great back there, and there's a lot of restaurants out there that need the help. Does anybody want to maybe look at a job in food service after you get out of high school? After you get out of school? Yes,
I just
Melanie?
want to say something.
Yes, ma'am.
Hilton's looking forward to hiring me, but I love Hilton and I love cafeteria.
There you go. Fantastic.
So
I love it.
So
Congratulations to all of you.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to suggest it would be awesome. We already have a great collaboration with HEB over the years in many different arenas. You know, I wonder if there's an opportunity to either have sort of like a program where we coordinate with HEB Central Market, one of the HEB Central Markets. Those are some of the best kitchens I've seen, and in terms of what they do, to maybe have some exchange students or kind of folks go back and forth. We visit their HEB Central Market kitchen, and then kind of San Antonio's closest, you know. But I mean, I think that would be an amazing opportunity to see the best of the best, you know, how they do it.
Yes, sir.
Hilton's awesome too, but we, you know, I think this is something to be proud of. I think, you know, first of all, we're you know, teaching folks about portion control and, you know, proper diets and things like that, but also, you know, food handling and keeping things safe. I mean, I can't tell you, you know, and you probably hear the news almost on a weekly basis about another infection here or another infection there, whether it's in the meats or the produce and things like that, or on, you know, on when folks go to, you know, their vacations and they go to the trips on the different, what am I calling those things? Those the cruises, right? And, but these are the kinds of skills that are going to be so important, not only for job skills and things like that, but just in life in general. You know what I mean? Keep healthy and stay healthy. So thank you for what you do. This is amazing. Hopefully we can get to go visit, like Dr. Cano was saying. We'd love to go visit you guys, and we'll probably mess up the kitchen. I apologize. We apologize in advance for that, but at least we'll learn a lot, and we'd love to see them in action. So thank you for the video. Thanks for being here. This is incredible. We'd love, could we take a picture with everybody?
Yes, and they also have a little sweet treat for you all. So,
Awesome.
They're going to go ahead and pass that out right now.
So while they're going to pass that out, I can tell you firsthand, as I was there, you cannot mess up their routine. It is a very rigid process, but they are super, super committed. And I just want to have just a minute to say a huge thank you to Judy Baker. I know she's a little under the weather, but when we think about innovation and how you can create magic for kids, this is a perfect example. So thank you to our directors and our teams.
Thank you so much. Only one. Thank you all. Y'all did such a great job. Thank you. Yeah, I used to have hair like you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna get all of our team to come on.
Can we get the whole team up here? We'd love to have a picture of the whole team.
And all of our board will make our way up there.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. Yes, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Great job. Great job.
Not really, I was under the weather the whole time, so I'm just going like this to everybody.
You the cold or
Beautiful cookies.
And I had a
sinus?
Thanksgiving Day, I went to my family at noon, and I was already feeling kind of so-so, a little sore throat, but once I got up, had coffee, I felt better. I went home for a while, then we were going to go to my in-laws. I took a nap, and then I started shivering cold, I told my wife, I had a
There's been a lot of it going on with the change in the weather and in the winds that we've been, I think it affects us, you know. We walk outside and all this stuff. That's an amazing program. I love it. Love it.
I'm good, and you? Recover from,
I'll let you know.
Where'd you pick up this blast from the past over here?
I know, look at that.
I have to take a picture and send that to him. I know. I have to send a picture. I have to take a picture of that first. Wow. The big scar.
That's gotta be about 17 years ago.
This was in 2008, and it was Dr. Wade.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah?
Awesome. Well, thank you all. Great presentation. Thanks, Dr. Corton. Thank you for bringing that to the Transforming Teaching and Learning Committee. That was special. Appreciate the opportunity to learn more about that incredible program. So with that, we'll jump into would you like to discuss, Dr. Corton, if maybe future topics for the Transforming Teaching and Learning Committee meeting at this time?
Yes, next month we have another exciting topic. We are going to have our head nurse, Ms. Loetta, come and talk to us a little bit about crisis management in our district and all the things that she's done to help us get better prepared for those things. So excited to have her come and join us next month.
Awesome, awesome. So with that, we'll adjourn this committee meeting, and we'll jump right into our Finance and Planning Committee meeting. So, and I believe our presenter, we're going to discuss our fiscal planning for the district, and I believe you'll be our presenter. Is that right, Dr. Corton?
Yes, sir, Mr.
Awesome. Take it away.
Mendoza. I'll go ahead and be our presenter today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about just the format of today's meeting. And so if I can, I'm not sure who has the clicker. Let's see. We'll advance it. You're good right there, Juan. That's perfect. So we do have 5 different subdivisions in today's fiscal planning conversation. We'll go to the next slide. So we're going to start with sharing some of our current and future adjustments. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Of course, looking at our monthly levers. And then we're going to go into 3 different subdivisions or segments of today's presentation. We're going to hear a little bit more about our marketing plan, look at right-sizing the district, and then our new approach to fiscal planning for the 25-26 fiscal year. Hard to believe that we're talking about 25-26, but it's that time of year. So I'm going to start first with just on the screen there, you see a listing of some of the estimated expenditure reductions. As we have started this school year, you know that we have been looking at all of our expenditures and also identifying areas that we can decrease in our expenditures. So on the screen there, you see a total of about $7.2 million. Starting with our consultant savings, we I want to thank our directors. We pulled everybody in, looked at all of our consultant expenditures. And for this fiscal year, we're going to be able to realize a $1.7 million savings with that. And then as you go through the rest of that list, we have been on a mission to reduce some of those costs. The other two things that I want to point out is when we look at the reclassification of 30 custodians from food services, we are working closely with Judy Baker. We were able to reclassify one of our custodial full-time employees at every campus. So we will have a 75-25 split. And what that means is that 75% of the time for that custodian will be working closely with food services in our cafeterias, but we also are able to leverage some of our federal funding through food services. So that's a savings of about $600,000. And then down at the bottom, we've talked about overtime. We're looking at a cost savings of approximately $500,000 for this year. As we're getting further into that work, I certainly want to thank Tanya and Oscar for their work around that, because we're very cognizant of what those overtime hours look like. And so this is our estimation of how much we're going to be able to save there. Next, our monthly levers. So we are, part of what we're going to look at tonight is we're going to talk about a marketing plan, because obviously we want to decrease, we would love to just eliminate any decrease of enrollment. But up on the screen there, you see that we're down 25 students from last month's report. And in total, that's 319 students less than last year. If you look up on the screen at the bottom there, we also included this month's attendance percentage. And so we're at 94.16. And so our goal is to have 94.5. If you think a little bit about the enrollment, and if you think about the importance of, we have to have proactive measures to make sure that we're going to increase enrollment where we can. The other thing that we have talked about at length is how do we engage the community differently, and how do we look at the whole customer experience. So we've been working alongside our team, and I'm going to hand it over to Juan Rodriguez and Alyssa Vela so that they can talk to us about the marketing plan.
Good evening, board members. Good evening, Dr. Cortan. Good evening, senior team and audience. My name is Juan Rodriguez, Coordinator for Public Relations and Student Outreach, and with me is
Alyssa Vela, Social Media Specialist.
And we're very excited to showcase our marketing plan and how this is going to shape the future of our district. So we wanted to make sure that we cover our mission.
Yes, before we created our marketing plan, we got down and we sat together and we said, what is our purpose and what is our why as the PR department? And so we came up with the mission, which is to foster a stronger connection with our HCISD stakeholders and enhance the HCISD experience. In addition, we will provide clear and consistent communication to increase the community engagement.
And this is really our driving factor here. So for our public relations department, the goal 5 in our district strategic plan, it involves all 4 of these goals. So we just want to make sure that we highlight that and we show you that this is going to be our driving force moving forward. Starting with goal 1, which is creating systematic framework to share our stories and to strengthen the stakeholder experience. Starting with implementing a block schedule or a content schedule, if you will, which is pretty much highlighting certain spotlights at certain times. So we want to be very intentional with that, but also being very creative of how we're going to show that as well. Our Champions Check-in, which is almost like a hybrid between My Cribs, MTV Cribs, MTV Cribs. I just didn't want to date myself. So between MTV Cribs and a virtual tour. So we wanted to be, again, very intentional with what's the messaging, what are we going to spotlight there, but also being very innovative of how we're going to showcase that. So I think everyone here, including in the audience, we went ahead and we released our first one, which is by HHS, which was a phenomenal job, and kudos to HHS and our team for creating that awesome promo. The next one that's up is South, and we're working on creating the one for South. So later on in the presentation, Alyssa's going to tie that into what our new website framework is going to look like and how we're going to go ahead and showcase those efforts as well. So we're very, very proud of those efforts. And again, kudos to HHS and our team with that. And also leveraging our engagement tools. What do I mean by our engagement tools? Our ambassadors, our community ambassadors, our student advisory board. We bring them in, we showcase them what we have to offer here at HCISD, and then at the end of it, we take their feedback. So I think what's very, very important is to go ahead and take their feedback, because that's gonna allow us to make an adjustment. Maybe we're taking it one direction, we get their feedback, maybe we need to kind of shift a little bit, right? So I think that's very, very important for us to go ahead and leverage those engagement tools. That takes us over to goal 2, which is increasing the visibility of events, social opportunities, and community partners. And we have an amazing partnership with Sylvia Gonzalez and the FACE department. We work hand in hand with a lot of these efforts that we do, especially when it involves the community and getting out there and going to where the people are at, not necessarily having them come to us. So we want to be very intentional with email campaigns. We want to make sure that we're leveraging and really using Parent Square to its fullest potential. What does that look like, right? So when we have events, when we're able to capture data at a market days, at a films on the field, wherever it is that we capture data, we want to be very intentional of how we're going to retarget those prospects as well. Our strategic partnerships and our district sponsorships are crucial. I think what's equally as important is to showcase those partners and really the strength that we have that so the community, so we can reassure our community of the strength that we have with those partners. Because at the end of the day, we wouldn't be able to offer everything that we have to offer here at HCISD without those partnerships there. So we want to make sure that we're always highlighting those partners. Taking us over to goal 3.
Goal 3, enhance the customer experience for all stakeholders. So when I think about the customer experience, we hear the website, right? That's feedback that we get a lot. And so how are we going to enhance that? We're going to look at a web redesign. In your folders, you should have some website layout examples that we're looking at, that they're user-friendly, they're very clean and crisp and modern, and it's something that we believe that the users would really appreciate. There's also an option for us to integrate a video option into the websites. So think about the Champions Check-in. We're on a mission to get every single campus, when we integrate this new website redesign, once users go to their campus page, up will pop the Champions Check-in. So then they can see a virtual tour of that campus and really get the students' experience of what it's like going to that campus. In addition, we have campus brochures, and thanks to our print shop for printing all of these campus brochures, but we're going to look at revamping those in the sense of putting those all digitally online on every campus page. So that way, when we redo the website, it's really easy for a user to just navigate, go into a campus, and see everything that that campus has to offer. In addition to enhancing the user experience, we think about our HCIC live streams. Last year, we started our HCIC live streams, and we went all the way to San Antonio to see the softball girls play at state. And then football season, we live streamed every HCIC football game. But moving forward, we want to expand that live stream and showcase more than just athletics, but also live stream district events and just really bring our community aware of everything that's happening at HCISD. And then the customer experience, we're always wanting to get feedback from our customers, from our community, and see where we are. As Juan said, we want to get their feedback. We want to see where we are, where we stand, and how we can improve. Moving on to goal 4. Inform and empower the community using innovative practices. And we're going to do this directly and indirectly. So think about market days. We're out there with the tech bus. We're in the community. We're talking to people. We're building these relationships. We're inviting our campuses now to join us at market days so the community can get firsthand experience of what each campus is like, talking with them and potentially getting students to register. In addition to market days, we partner with Sylvia, and her and Juan go out in the community and they host platicas, where they talk to the community, talk to them about the HCIC experience, answer any questions that they might have, and of course, in return, build those relationships. Indirectly, this is where we bring out our billboards. In August, we created an HCISD Champions Choose Harlingen billboard campaign. So around the city, we had billboards of our students and our athletes that highlighted their academic and athletic achievements. At the end of the year, we're going to be using these billboards to highlight our top 10 students as well as our Teachers of the Year. Moving on to a new initiative that we want to bring out, and we're excited to introduce it, but we want to explore the idea of a newborn swag initiative. So working with hospitals and doctors and building this HCISD newborn swag bag that for every newborn, every baby that's born, they get a little piece of HCISD. And it's just a small touch that'll really bring a big impact in the end. Moving on to our timeline and milestones. So we're going to look at the short-term timeline, which is 0 to 6 months. We want to complete our website redesign. That's top priority. And then develop a unified content calendar with our team. We also want to increase visibility of our promotions and current campaigns that are happening throughout the district. Midterm, 6 to 12 months, we want to collect testimonials from our community. This is our student advisory board and our HCISD ambassadors, and get their feedback. We want to foster new community relationships, explore our newborn swag initiative, and then, as Juan was saying, upload the virtual campus tours onto our HCISD campus web pages. And then long-term, 12+ months, conduct a stakeholder survey to see where we are and where we stand, gather feedback from them, and then with our new website, integrate advanced features on the web and see what are the different opportunities that we have online to really showcase HCISD.
Awesome. Is that the?
I was just going to say, so we can, if you all have questions specific to the marketing plan before we go into right-sizing our districts, you all can ask those now, since we have Juan and Alyssa.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and I have some questions about your first part as well, but we can save that to the end. But yeah, I think this is a great time to just maybe take a pause, and if anyone has any questions about this, Dr. Muniz.
Well, first of all, great presentation. I love, as you, Alyssa, you know, you do a fantastic job. Both of you do a fantastic job, but Alyssa, I've known you longer. And you've always done a fantastic job, so I love marketing, and I love this, what you've got here. My first question is, what results are we looking for?
So we want to make sure that we want to stop the, I guess, the bleeding, if you will. We want to make sure that we're stopping us losing kids. But at the same time, obviously, bring new customers in, bring new students, new families to the district here. So I think it's a two-prong approach. It's definitely easier said than done, but we definitely want to make sure that we retain our kids, but we're also actively recruiting kids as well.
So if I could, and Dr. Cortana and I talked about this, and so obviously we're in a finance and planning committee meeting, and maybe I should have explained this better at the beginning, but you know, one of the thoughts is, obviously, we all know as a board that we've you know, our communication can be a little bit better. Our brand is amazing, but it can be better, and we can tell our stories better. You know what I mean? And I think part of it is just kind of it's just needing a sort of a Control-Alt-Delete with our web design and with our way we engage our community. One of the things that we all know is a reality is there's the competition right now is just at its highest level that it's ever been for students, right? So number one, we know that everyone has open enrollment, so they're all taking kids from everywhere, all the districts, right? Number one. Number two, we know that there'll be increasing competition for students and choice for parents and students, right? And not only existing choices and existing open boundaries and everything else, but then future, like vouchers, et cetera, coming forth. So the timing, I think, is critical now that we get ahead of it to sort of help that branding, help tell that story, help engage the community better. To your point, sort of get our folks to continue to choose Harlingen, but stay here and not go elsewhere. You know, either whether it's homeschooling or private schools, parochials, or, you know, or other districts, and then soon to be more districts with the vouchers if that passes. So I think that's the whole point. It's working on the sort of, when it time to the talking about budget, it's the revenue side of the budget. It's our students that we serve. And I think a lot of it is just sort of being able to sort of tell our story and engage with the community in a lot better way.
And I guess what I'm trying to figure out is just how we're linking this information with tangible results, since it is the finance committee, and maybe even coming up with a way to calculate the cost of acquisition per student. That'd be awesome if we could do that. It's hard, but we could probably try to figure that out, just so that we'll know from a financial perspective, how much money are we spending to get one child? You know, and how much is it, and we know how much it costs to lose a child,
Right.
But how much does it cost to get a child or a student? That's why I was asking that question. The second question is regarding the websites. You know, one of my personal pet peeves, and this is just me, is I don't like going to different websites and they have different functionalities. Are we going to be streamlining that? So if I go to HHS, I go to the South,
They all
I'm going
look
to
the
see very
same.
similar patterns.
They all look the same and function the same?
Function the same, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
And then it sounds like the more advanced features there that you have at the back, and I know I'm stating stuff instead of asking questions, it sounds like it's going to be like the little dashboards that we've been talking about?
Yes.
That's awesome. Man,
That's
I love
correct.
this stuff. This is
Yes,
great. Those are all my questions. Thank you.
And right quick, they do have 3 measurable outcomes, 3 metrics that they're going to be looking at. One of them, I try to remember, but one of them is the enrollment. Like, what does that look like? Because you know that we are looking at return on investment. So with everything that we're doing, it has to have some type of a return on investment. But it's a community, good.
Yeah,
You
it
wanna
was
share the other two?
increase in community engagement and participation at our events. So when we host events, we want to see the community show up and participate and really enjoy these events. And then also growth on social media and the website.
Yeah, and that's a good one because I know that in the past, we've had some really great pieces of gatherings and people show up and then there's great stuff we have and people don't show up. And I think that you're absolutely doing something that's going to help with that.
And they spoke a little bit about a content calendar. But in essence, it's a master calendar of all the big events and understanding like where are we going to get the biggest bang for our buck? Like I think of the last 2 conferences, the financial literacy and the parent conference. Great topics, great things, but they're all revolving around serving our parents. So how do we start thinking about maybe it's a fall and a spring event instead of all these mini ones, and then we bring all of our resources under one umbrella for one day and have a more robust offering. So it's those things that if we do the content calendar, we have a glance at like what are the big things in our district that we are going to prioritize, and how do you start also scheduling those so you don't have overlapping events.
Yeah, that's awesome. If I can make a suggestion, the swag bag initiative, I love that, right? Hit them early, fast. We get the branding, maybe do a QR code where they can say, hey, if you're registered here to get updates, and maybe you're already thinking about that, you get their email address and stuff like that. That way you can continuously give them updates. And it sounds like you've already got it, so sorry.
No, that's great advice. We like that. Yeah.
Maybe early childhood could do like a little caterpillar thing. Or, I don't know.
Caterpillar.
Great feedback.
Any other questions about our,
I have a couple.
yep, Dr. Khan?
So, I kudos to that Champions Check-In, like that was amazing. Like I think so many people like raved about that, and rightly so. It was awesome. And I love the one calendar thing, and then maybe too, kind of speaking to that, depending on what the event is and what the demographic is, and that kind of changes like maybe where you're really hitting, like how you're marketing that. But I had 2 things. One is when I think about, Dr. Bettis mentioned, the increased competition. When I look at all this, I love this. I think on every page though, maybe something about what sets us apart. Like what makes us different from all of the other options, right? The other choices is maybe like something else that could be highlighted. Because they all have, their uniqueness about them. So what really sets them apart? And then I know you're our social media specialist, right? So where do you see kind of social, like fitting in with all of this?
Yeah. So in regards to social, I really want our team we have such a creative team, and they have a unique way of sharing HCISD and the story everything that we have to offer. And so it's really working with the team to, on top of this master calendar, it's building out, we called it a block schedule, but like working with the team to really showcase and highlight every single opportunity that we have at HCISD. It's not going to happen overnight, right? It's going to be a slow and steady process, but we really want everything that's on social media and on the web to be cohesive and the same. So Champions Check-In, Marcy brought up, even including Transition Academy, which I didn't even think about including departments. Yeah, so just really being intentional and innovative with social media moving forward.
Thank you. This is great, and I love a timeline, so awesome.
Awesome. Any other questions?
I just wanted to add my congratulations. Thanks for the great presentation. And I really commend you on the, it sounds like a very purposeful way, a regular way of getting feedback about our products, about our stories, about, every aspect that you're putting out there from community members, from our users, right? That's who we have to hear from. And then also taking a way to showcase our ambassadors and our student ambassadors and other partners, et cetera. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Great job, both of y'all. This is, I think, going to be very impactful, and I think it'll have a great return on investment, to Dr. Maniz's point as well. So with that, we'll jump in. I guess we're going to, the next, we're going to jump into the, I guess it's the
right sizing of our
right-sizing the
district.
district. Debbie, are you going to take that part?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. And good afternoon, Committee Chair Dr. Bettis, Dr. Corton, members of the board, senior team, and audience. As you will recall, during the 22-23 school year, TASB conducted...
I think your microphone might be off.
Oh, I'm sorry. During the 22-23 school year, TASB conducted an employee staffing review, and the review focused on comparing district staffing to benchmarking data from peer districts, as well as best practices and the standards within our state. TASB reviewed all job groups, and suggestions for alternative models were provided for consideration. The district has implemented alternative models for several job groups and adjusted the staffing guidelines as positions have become vacant. This school year, as we strive to right-size the district based on current and projected enrollment, we have absorbed about 47 positions through attrition. So looking at this slide here, just a little bit about our plans and what the next several months will look like. This month, we will be taking a comprehensive look at programming at central office. And so in January, upon our return from the Christmas holiday, we will be meeting with our central office department directors and reviewing staffing as we plan for the new school year. Every spring, we meet with campus principals and go over their staffing and the projections and what staffing will look like for the following year. And so that's done historically every spring. This year, we plan to meet with our campus principals in the month of February. It's a comprehensive look, again, at where we're at, what staffing they currently have, and what the staffing will look like for the following year based on projections and historical data on what their enrollment is generally like. When we have these individual meetings with our campus principals, it's a comprehensive look. Joining me will be Norma Garcia and Ociel Ochoa, and we will look closely at all special populations as we plan and review for potential and upcoming vacancies for the new year. It's a great opportunity for us to start to forecast and then identify areas where we will have some vacancies so that we can start our recruitment process early in that spring. And so in March, again, we will continue working to right-size our district. As we continue to look at right-sizing our district, one item that we would love to bring forward for your consideration is a new early exit incentive model. And so as you know, over the last about 10 years, we've had what we call the 543 early exit incentive model, where we've identified campus-based professional staff who have declared their resignation or retirement in January, February, or March, and that has helped us to forecast vacancies for the following year. And so we'd like to present a little different option and model for your consideration this coming spring. And so looking at campus-based and district-based professional employees who declare in the month of January, looking specifically at January 6th through the 31st. For those individuals declaring, letting us know that they will be retiring or resigning at the end of their contract term, and offering them an incentive of $1,000 to be paid in June. That way we would be able to, again, identify areas that we know we will need to staff, and then other positions that may be able to be closed through attrition. And so it just gives us a great opportunity to plan and to plan early. So again, that we're able to be out recruiting for the hard-to-fill areas, and that we have a really good idea of where we will end up and the number of employees we will need for the following year. So we will have this proposal on an agenda item at next week's board meeting for your consideration. And if approved, we would then start to share this information with our professional employees and be ready for January.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So we wanted to bring these to you, and as we head into January and February, we will be bringing updates on right sizing as we're making decisions and moving the programming along. At this time, I think that's Mrs. Scoggins' last slide. Any questions for her before we jump in with Mrs. Ambris?
No, I think we can keep going, and then we'll.
May I ask one question, though?
Sure.
The $1,000, that's in addition to the others, so there's still the 543, or how does?
So this would be in lieu of the 543, just so that we would have.
This is our only plan this year.
Okay.
A one-time initiative in the month of January, just so that we're able to identify potential vacancies a little bit sooner.
Understood. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So then we're going to jump into how we're rethinking budget planning, and I'm going to hand it over to Ida Ambris.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Well, we had Mr. Powers. He's not here. Good evening, Mr. Powers, board members, Dr. Curtin, senior team members, and members of the audience. So I will be presenting the next few slides where we have taken a step back to rethink what our budget process should look like for next school year. So 3 focus points that we want to concentrate on for next school year would be to move to a zero-based approach. Second, we want to rethink the way we do our budget training and perhaps offer a budget workshop for our to support our leaders. That would include our principals and our directors. And then third, we want to propose an earlier budget deadline for some of our designated accounts. So normally, we put a freeze on our Function 11 accounts, which are instructional accounts for our campuses. Normally, we do that in May, and so this coming budget season, we want to propose to move that to an earlier date of March 7th. In January 31st, we're going to propose to have a freeze on our federal funds, including our special education budget. So what that means is, on January 31st, our campuses will have that opportunity to be able to spend their budgets that they have allocated to their campuses up through January 31st. At that point in time, then we would sweep those remaining funds and move that into a budget line item earmarked for our summer school. So zero-based budgeting. That strategy involves reassessing and reallocating budget priorities yearly based on real-time data. Expenses are justified every year starting from zero, and then we would take a look at major categories, and some of those would be health insurance, safety, curriculum and instruction, counseling services, maintenance and facilities, transportation, and salaries. So in doing that, some of our strategies is, one, to create budget committees to review some of our higher ticket items that we have. One of them we have already created, which is a budget committee to review all of our software licenses. So our software licenses is a big ticket item that we do have in our budget. They actually met today for the first time, so they can start reviewing our different softwares that we utilize here at the district. See if we need to use all of those softwares, or is there any overlapping on some of those softwares that maybe we could cut back and find some other alternatives for those software licenses that we have. Second, we want to use the data to create a budget focused on needs assessment. And so this would include an exercise where we recommend everyone run a report from their e-finance system and look at their financial data from prior year. And take a look at that and really do a deep dive in reviewing and analyzing their budget. Look for those items where maybe there were some negative balances in last year's budget that perhaps maybe they need to focus on for this coming school year. Were there any line items there that there was too much of a budget, right? There was a huge remaining balance in there, and perhaps maybe they could have transferred those funds to cover some of those negative balances, or perhaps use that for other key items needed for the campus or the department. Third, we want to align the budget to district and campus improvement plans. So in our district improvement plan, that plan will oversee the district as a whole and our district initiatives. And then every campus has its own campus improvement plan where they have already sat down and thought about what are some of their key items that they need for their campus, right? And then what funding source do they want to use for those needs that they have at their campus? Is it going to be used or purchased by local and state funding, or is it going to be purchased by federal funds? And then last, we want to address and prioritize budget needs. And in this item here, we want to make sure that our campuses and departments aren't doing a copy-paste type budget, right? Where they continue to submit the same budget every single year. We want them to actually go and prioritize what those budget needs are. If A, B, and C are their main priorities, then for sure we want to make sure that we have that budget aligned for them for next school year. So budget training. So usually every January, we will carve out 30 minutes to an hour for each of our departments. So we bring in all of our department heads, and they meet with myself, Mr. Mendoza, Terry Martinez, and our purchasing director, Mr. Anguiano. And so we'll start that brainstorming process with each of our departments to make sure that we ask those key questions, right? What's coming down the pipeline for next school year that you would need to start analyzing and writing that down and include in your budget? Are there any major replacement costs coming down for next school year? Any new initiatives? Any conferences that are coming up that are necessary for your program? And we want to make sure that we include those in their budget for next year. And as soon as we conduct all of those meetings in January with our department heads, then we begin our training process. And so normally, in the past, we would bring everybody into a big room, just like this, and we would conduct our budget training. And so this year, we want to do something different, and we want to have a workshop instead. And so we would bring in smaller groups. All of our high schools maybe come in together one day, all our middle schools come in one day, our departments, and our elementary campuses as well, right? And so as they come in, we would ask for their principals, directors, secretaries to bring in their laptop. So that way we can actually do that exercise of running those financial reports, having them review that, while we're there in the room with them. And if they have any questions as to, well, what was this account number for? What did I use this? We can be there for their support and helping them answer those questions, and maybe run additional reports for them so that they can use that for their forecasting. And then also this hopefully will allow for innovation and team planning in these workshops. Normally when you bring smaller groups of the same type, all the high schools together, if one question comes up from Harlingen High School, I'm pretty sure South High School has the same question as well. And so that allows for that networking to begin with these workshops. And then hopefully we can answer everybody's questions at the same time. So that is our hope for next budget season, is to have these budget workshops to be able to provide more support for our leadership.
So one thing that I do want to point out, thank you, Ida, for all that. One thing I do want to point out is when we have an earlier deadline for closing of some of those accounts, that minimizes the carryover. And so we've talked a little bit about carryover expenditures and trying to close those up earlier. That's part of the purpose behind rethinking our budget timelines. So with that, we've gone through all of our topics that we have for today. I'm going to jump into questions and conversation. And I'm going to ask that Ida stay here just in case we have questions around some of the numbers.
Sure, not a problem.
Thank you, Ida.
So thank you. I'm sure we have a couple questions. So just to sort of
Yes, sir.
a quick review. So we've gone over a lot of things in today's Finance and Planning Committee. Thank you for that, Dr. Corton, and for all the presenters. First, the budget reductions, I think totaling $7.2 million. We reviewed that, and then we went into the marketing plan, to obviously a comprehensive plan to hopefully help with increasing enrollment, which would help on the revenue side. And then the right sizing the district, which I know the plans are going to be starting at central office and then going to all the campus levels and throughout the whole district, is to make sure we get the right size as far as staffing. And to help with that, a little bit modified, a little sort of early exit plan on steroids, if you will, this year compared to years past, which might help a little bit as far, so we can benefit from a little bit more of attrition if folks choose to leave early. And then obviously, very, very important that we educate at all levels of the district, starting here at the central office, but then going down to the different directors and all the campuses. Budget education, budget planning, being very thoughtful about it and proactive about planning for our budget and having a zero-based budget and everything. So this is, I think, a great presentation. I have one question, a couple questions, and then I'll pass it on to the rest of the board members. But first is going back to the budget reductions. It says 7.2 million, so I'm assuming they're not all listed. Is that right? These are just the biggest items. Is that correct?
All of these, including the 500,000, should come to the 7.2.
Maybe my math is wrong. Maybe it does. It does? Okay.
Yes.
Because
So these
we-
are all of the,
Yes.
okay. All right. It didn't look right to me, but I'm not a math. I'm not
It
good
is,
at
that
math.
does add up to
Sounds
7.2
good.
million,
Okay.
including the
So
500,000. And that we put down at the bottom here because that could fluctuate, right? Hopefully, maybe we'll have more savings by the time the end of the
So
school
then
year
my other
comes.
question is, are we already seeing these things increase our cash flow? I know some of these, some are sort of accrued sort of expenses and some are they already starting to impact the cash flow starting this month or last month? Or when are we going to start seeing it increase our cash flow?
So I'm going to give you a brief answer, but if you want to jump in. So the cost savings with consultant savings, we've already realized that, so we can move that over. Here's one of the things that before I jump into the rest of my response, is that we're working with our business office to create accounts where we can always see how much of a cost reduction we have, a true cost reduction. So when you look at the consultant savings, that 1.7 is taken out of the active accounts so that we know exactly where it sits and we can always be tracking that. So something like that will impact our cash flow simply because we're not going to have to do a whole payout for what we originally came up with. The 10% department, that was already taken out, that's separate and apart. So some of these will, but if you think about like the reclassification of the 30 custodians and the reclassification of security to the safety grant, those are going to take a little longer because it's payroll. So not everything will impact the cash flow right away.
I can speak to, on some of these reclassifications, the one for the safety grant. Those are actually security consultant expenses that we have already incurred. And so as of November 30th, it was about $300-some thousand that we've already spent. And so once I do that reclassification over to the safety grant, I'll be able to draw that down from TEA. And so that would help our cash flow for sure this coming month. And then once we continue on with the next 3 months, then we'll be able to fully expend the remaining amount of that grant. Yes.
Awesome. Any other questions?
On custodians, can you go retroactive to reimburse for the beginning of the school year?
That's a good question.
Custodians, yes, I did talk to Ms. Goggins, and yes, we are going to go retro as of July 1st, yes.
Good. Any other questions?
I have another question. On the earlier deadlines, 24, 25 budget deadlines for designated accounts for,
yes.
I guess I was really thinking about the federal funds.
So there's two different deadlines, right? So the first one for March the 7th is for our campuses using their local funds, and that would be their Function 11 accounts. And so Function 11 accounts are normally used for instructional supplies. So they would have until March 7th to be able to, put in whatever orders they need to complete the school year. And so, like Dr. Corton mentioned, that would also help us deter the risk of having a large carryover move into the next fiscal year. Because before it was May, usually the first Friday in May, that we would do that freeze. And so as campuses were putting in their orders in mid-May, end of May, some of those orders weren't coming in until like July. And so that triggered having those carryovers go into the next fiscal year's budget.
Okay, and then talk about federal funds. I'm particularly interested in if we're freezing it and if there's any crossover of federal years, like how are we stopping an expenditure in one year?
So for our ESSA grants, like our Title I, Part A, and our migrant funds, those are the funds that we're going to freeze as of January 31st. And then our special education. And so our special education federal funds and our ESSA funds, federal funds, they actually go into, you're right, into the next fiscal year. They end September 30th. But by us doing the cutoff in January 31st, we still plan to use that funding, right? But we're just going to recoup that from our campuses, whatever remaining balances they still have left unspent, and move that into our accounts earmarked for summer school. Because we do know that we're going to need some funding for summer school and maybe some other district initiatives that we may need to also fund. And so that will be a big help for us to utilize that and maybe possibly not tap into our local budget because we'll have that federal funds still available to us.
And then do you already have procedures for, whatever, we didn't realize we need X, Y, and Z still out of those federal funds, so that it's just a procedural piece to come to you and rethink that or something?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'll work with the Federal Programs Director and with Mr. Ochoa, our Special Education Director as well, to make sure that we are going to fully utilize that federal funding so that we don't risk losing that funding, right, from us. And if anything needs to be reclassified, then we would have that review process at that point in time.
And so when you're, and I'm sorry for all the questions, but
Sure.
one other question is, so what we are not saying, I believe, and I want to just confirm this,
Okay.
that we're not cutting services to our staff.
Absolutely
I mean, to our
not.
students, we're
No.
not keeping our staff from doing the work to provide the.
Right, no, not at all, not at all. The campus allocations are usually spent on instructional supplies for our students. But in special education, that, for example, they utilize a huge amount of their budget on contracted services, like for the School of Blind, the School of Deaf. And so us not spending all of that on supplies could be reallocated to be used for contracted services, which are services for our students. So in no way would we not provide those services to our students.
I think that's important for the community to hear,
Sure.
so thank you
Yes,
for stating
yes.
that.
And tomorrow, we will be working with the principals. We go through all of this information with them, just so that they can ask questions. If there's clarity that we need to provide for our principals, and we do all that together. So that's a huge help, so that after these meetings, we always go into that principals meeting the next day.
Dr. Pettis,
Good
I've got
question.
some curiosity questions, if I may.
Absolutely.
So the first one is regarding the budget training workshop for the support leaders. Have we done anything like that before? Have they gotten training at all before?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I've been here 19 years, and we've done budget training every single year. The difference for this coming budget season is doing the actual budget workshop, because I can tell you from experience, I've gone up there in front of, all our campuses and our department heads and told them, please run your detailed expenditure status report, review that, look at last year's data, look to see what accounts you still had monies in, which accounts were negatives, and do that deep dive into your budget. However, I say that, but I don't know whether or not when they go back to their office or they go back to their campus, if they're actually doing that exercise, which is an important piece of that budget process. So in bringing everybody in together and having that budget workshop and having everybody with their laptop, we'll be able to run those reports. And then if they have any questions on it, then I can be there to add additional support to them.
Yeah, excellent. And a next question is, therefore, have you been able to ever see the results of those budgets in the past?
Yes, I have.
And are
And
they
so-
consistent across the board? Are they different? Do they?
They're different. You can tell which ones have actually done the deep dive and ran the
Okay.
reports and did their analytics and ensure that they were putting in their budget everything that they need, all their priorities. And then you can see those that just did the copy paste.
Yeah,
And so
you're-
we're trying to avoid the copy paste where I ran out of time, the deadline's tomorrow, it's Thursday at 5 o'clock, copy paste, and I'm going to turn that in.
Because it's easy to come up with a budget,
Sure.
right?
Yes.
It's real easy.
Yeah.
And it can be totally off.
Yes.
It's real easy. So that was my first question. Thank you for answering that.
Sure.
Do we have, and maybe it's a Dr. Corton question, do we have our top 10 sources of funding?
We do, but but like
It changes, I know
extend-
it's a variable, but is that something that maybe we should be measuring every committee and just looking at it and?
We can look at some of those. So in January, I don't know if y'all recall that we had a variance report, I want to say sometime in September or maybe October. You all are going to get a mid-year variance report so that as a board, you know, this is how much we allocated and this is where we are, this is what we've spent.
Sure.
We think that that's going to help us to just have a better handle on where we are mid-year. When we think of things like carryover and things of that nature, part of what we've seen is that if we don't monitor it real closely, then you have a whole bunch of expenditures at the end, which really, and we shared this with principals last month, the money that you get, the fiscal resources you get this year are for this year. And so data, real-time data has to be guiding that. So when she speaks about instructional supplies, well, we have a mid-year report that we're going to look at for instructional goals.
Sure.
Like, where are we? And that really should drive some of those expenditures through March.
And then the last question, the follow-up question is then regarding special needs and shards.
Yes.
Have we corrected that? And-
Yes.
And is there an increase in, we
Yes.
talk about variance, is there an increase?
We have already seen an increase in our charge revenue already for this school year. We are diligently meeting with our SHARS representative every single month to go over the reports that she provides. Here's the list of providers that are billing, and here's the list of providers that are not billing. And so we're sending out communication to our providers, which are our teachers, to make sure that they are turning in their tickets, to make sure that we are capturing all of that, all of the reimbursements that we could possibly attain. Yes.
So based on my understanding, because when it came up in previous meetings, it sounded like there was a problem with our vendor, but it sounds like in reality, it was a problem with us submitting.
It was a little bit of both, to
Okay.
be honest with you. I mean,
Okay.
I do work very heavily with SHARS, and so with our SHARS vendor, we were not getting that support. Like I just mentioned, the monthly meetings, that was missing
Has that
last
changed?
year. And yes, it has changed.
Perfect.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure. No problem.
And the
Great
last thing,
presentation.
excuse me, the last thing that I want to just conclude this segment with is when we think of budget planning, you have to start with the end in mind. And I think that for people that are very fiscally aware, or that's kind of their thing, right? They start with the end in mind and then they work backwards. Part of what we're going to be doing is that every month we're meeting with principals, we're going to give them these bite-sized chunks so that we can get to the ultimate goal of having a budget that's going to reflect your priorities. One of the things that we're doing next week with our leaders is to say, where are you today and where do you want to be in 3 years? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Because if you have that in front of you, that really should help drive part of your budget planning. So starting there, and then exercises like looking at longitudinal data. And if I'm a campus principal, like looking at the trends in my enrollment, we need to start forecasting things. And so that's part of the exercise with principals is let's look at longitudinal data and let's start there and then start thinking about, so how is this going to impact, how do you think this is going to impact your projections for next year? The allotments, things like that, those are going to stay customary, right? Those are going to be standard. But it's this whole concept of, yes, we need to prepare for the next fiscal year, but where are we going to be in 3 years? Where are we going to be in 5 years? And that should drive your expenditures. So it's all of that working in conjunction with Tanya and our principals and certainly Dahlia and her directors. But that's the whole concept behind zero-based budgeting. Let's start with where we want to go. Where are we? Where do we want to go? And that should, by default, create a fiscal plan that meets your needs of the users.
Well, thank you so much. We're about out of time.
Quick comment.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry. So I think you hit on it, Dr. Corton. Thank you for the presentation, Ida.
Sure,
And
no
I love the way that we're approaching this. I think we're doing a great job controlling expenses from August till now. We're seeing that.
Yes.
It's going to start to show up in the profit and loss.
Yes.
As your committees are coming in, and I call them committees, your schools, profit centers, whatever the term is, enrollment projections need to be incorporated. So don't bring a budget that shows that we have 17,000 kids all added up. That's just not what's happening right now.
Right.
It's, so our principals, department heads bring us and you might even at the central level assign the enrollment to the school, to the department. This is where we see your enrollment next year, so that it makes sense from that side too, not just on the cost side, but on the revenue side.
Yes, yes.
At the bank, they tell us what the interest rates are going to be next year. It may not work out that way, but we have a
Right.
projection, a board-led projection.
Very, very true.
So that projection might come from leadership to each of the schools. Thank you for the presentation.
Sure, thank you.
Dr. Katan, I think we're on the right path towards thinking about our budget holistically, from revenues to expenses, and thinking about things the way we should be thinking about to get it right. So great job, and we look forward to next month's meeting. At this time, meeting's adjourned.